Okay. Welcome to the budget meetings of the town of Ossining. We're going to start with the pledge of allegiance. Please join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Our first budget review is going to be for the town court.
We can see.
Yeah, I do think. Right.
They're waiting and the camera was recommends.
Yeah.
Press it.
Somebody's calling. Yes.
Okay, Greg is calling me. Cool.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the town court. So the first one, we're starting with the salary. So there's a charge back of the town court supervision, 2% over 2025, which brings us to $19,039 that's being moved to the other side of the court that we'll see later on. Then we have the judges. We have a 2% increase from 2025, which brings their salary each to $54,980. Then we have Maria Carbone. Oh,
We
I
didn't
apologize. Yeah. And then if you look down all the way in the last line, there is an increase of $5,000 per judge. Salary increase, so that's a $15,000. You guys see it at the bottom. So each judge is gonna get an increase of $5,000.
That's what we could do, guys.
No, it's appreciated. It starts to bring us in line with judges of other courts. Being one of the busier courts in Westchester County. We put in significant hours. This will start to bring us in line. It's still below what judges in similarly busy courts make, but it's starting to get us there. And it's really appreciated as an acknowledgement for them. So,
And all the call-ins and all that's all included in that, when you get called in the weekend and all that other stuff, no, that's separate.
I mean, we get extra hourly per call.
No, that's salary, not anytime you need to.
It's
So,
a flat
for
salary,
instance,
just like mine.
Judge Paris just got a Woodruff dog case, and that requires her to process the complaint and make sure that the parties have received proper notification. She's doing that off hours, and then Friday afternoon, because there's a statutory time period where the case has to be heard, she's coming off her other job early to conduct that hearing on Friday, and that's included in that. And so that's all off-hour arraignments, which are unpredictable, but I've had weeks where I'm coming in 4 or 5 times at odd hours. So all of that's included. Yes.
Yeah, just is another example in felony cases. When a person is remanded, meaning that we're not permitted to set bail, there are certain types of cases where our court cannot set bail for certain types of defendants. The attorneys will demand something known as 180 hearings. They are in essence probable cause hearings that have to be held within no more than 144 hours of the time of the arrest. So if we're the duty judges, we have to do those hearings. I had 3 scheduled for the past 2 weeks. One of them actually went from start to finish, but obviously there's additional time involved.
Thank you.
So that brings the salary to the judges to $59,980 each. We have Maria Carbone at CSCA step 5, 2% over 2025 at $79,686. Cornell Ashpole at CSCA step 3 at $74,722. Fernanda Lilly at CSCA step 5 at $64,300, and that salary is also shared with Catherine Kishby, who is in her same title. Jenna Rivera at CSCA step 3, 50% of her salary is charged to this line, so that's $28,396. And then we just reviewed the increase for the judge's salary. Next up, we have the overtime set at $18,000. Longevity is a total of $3,300, and the breakdown here is from Marnell, Maria, Fernanda, and Lily. For the longevity.
Okay.
And Catherine, thank you. For sick pay incentive, we have $5,000 each. A health stipend of $2,500. And the health stipend is taken by Jennifer Rivera. She declines taking our health insurance, so 50% is charged here at $2,500. Our part-time, we have our court officers, which is a 2% increase from 2025 for each. That brings the total to $20,400, and the breakdown is here at the different rates for the court officers. And then we have Patsy Morocho, who's a part-time clerk at the court. Half of her salary is here. She's also getting a 2% increase, and her half is $8,354. For equipment, we have it down at $300, and just as a heads up, that reason why it's a lot more money than what's budgeted is because it's part of the Jacob grant. That's where we put the stuff, and then once we get the money, it bounces back on it. Correct? Yeah.
Yeah, we do a revenue offset and then budget just, yes.
Next up, we have our telephone internet services. We have our Superior phone service at $1,370. Our Optimum bill around $40.79 each at $490. And Verizon fax line and phone service approximately $220 a month, which brings us to $4,500. Printing and postage at $7,000. Office and supplies expenses, for general office supplies at $6,000. Half of the service of the bank carrier, for $3,300, which brings us to a total of $9,300. Then we have our maintenance, office equipment and leases at $12,249. And that, encompasses ARCO cleaning, the court copier lease, as well as the postage lease. Our constable and security services at $11,500. Professional dues and meetings at $800, and that encompasses the Magistrates Association. Conferences at $500. Uniforms at $800, and that encompasses uniforms for the court attendants as well as periodic cleaning of the judge's robes. Consulting services at nothing. Stenographer/translator services at $28,000. Books, this was a request of increasing it from $900 to $2,000 to update a couple of written materials. We've increased it up to $1,500. Increase. A decrease, thank you. The next one. Sorry, this one just got lost. There we go, okay. The next one we have, for the traffic violations, we have part service, regular for part-time or for Jenny Rivera. This is her other half the charge here at $28,396. And this is with the supervision 2% increase of 25% is charged to, so this is the $19,039. Service or overtime at $7,000, nothing of longevity here yet. Sick pay incentive, 50% is paid here for the intermediate clerk Spanish at $500. The health stipend for Janet Rivera, again, this is her other half because she declines our health insurance at $2,500. This is, the next line is a part-time, which is the other half of our part-timer for Patsy Morocho, as well as our court officers, which brings the total to $13,454. Contractual at $0. Printing and postage at $5,000. Office and supplies expense at $4,300, and this is just other general office supplies, as well as the other half of the bank carrier services. Maintenance for and repair for office equipment and leases at $250. Constable and security services at $5,000, and that includes the police IMA general fund allocation, as well as just the regularly budgeted amount. Stenographer and translator services at $2,500. That's Stan. Questions or comments?
No questions?
How's the volume? It's steadily increase, or is it kind of just always busy the last? It's no here.
Is it steadily increasing year after year, or has it been
Yeah.
pretty stagnant?
The traffic calendar every Thursday is pretty steady at between 80 and 100 cases per evening. The criminal court calendar, correct me if I'm wrong, is pretty steady at between 70 and 100 cases per session. One of the things that has increased over time is the amount of interpretation service that we need. So we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people coming through the court. And on traffic nights and landlord-tenant nights, which are Thursdays, sometimes we need 2 to 3 people translating in order to be able to get through the calendar. At the risk of getting too much into details, there's an uptick in the rate of people submitting written motions, which creates more work. It's not complaining about it, it's just reality. I don't know if the caseload is up. It's been steadily heavy for another year.
We had a bubble, right after the pandemic closures ended because cases were then brought back. And so forth. So we had a lot of traffic cases and there was a lot of landlord tenant cases out of the pandemic as well. And that there was also a lot of changes in the law. And so
Yeah.
I would say we're sort of still settling back into normal. But I think that criminal is probably relatively steady, vehicle and traffic steady at a high, both at high volumes.
Yeah.
The parking, we've had a little bit of a bump recently in the number of cases, and we also changed the way we do the village ordinance violation calendar. So now it's every other Monday, and so that volume has increased a little bit, but that could be due to the way that the court has been scheduling them as opposed to increased enforcement. But I would say there's been a rise of what I'll call, well, open container sort of. I hesitate to use the word broken windows, but that sort of enforcement seems to have been increased a little bit. But yeah, so
Quality of life offenses.
Yeah, okay.
that's the phrase I was.
So we also, the judges, in order to accommodate the increased volume, we used to start our evening calendars at 6 p.m. We now start them at 5 p.m. So that would be on Monday and Thursday. And also, we've had, at least on my calendar, we've had a bit of an uptick in requests for trials. So we schedule the trials on days when we're not doing regular calendar calls. So we, according to our respective schedules, we have to pick a day during the week to come in and do trials. So in that sense, I think there's been a bit of an increase in caseload as well.
Does the size of the courtroom affect your, how many cases you hear in a day or in a week? Like you say, you have 70 to 80.
Right.
Would you be able to do more if there was more room there, or
I don't
the
think
70 is
so.
at the max?
I mean, I think the allowable limit of people in the room is about 100 or maybe a little bit more. It's not that, it's simply a question of time. We had one night several months ago where we ran the calendar until midnight, and that was too long. Generally speaking, it ends between in the evening, say between 8 and 9 o'clock. So it'll go for roughly 4 hours.
So you run the calendar till it's done.
Till it's done.
Doesn't matter what time.
Yeah. The other thing, by the way, is that in terms of cases that can be disposed of, like parking ticket cases, and vehicle and traffic law cases, the ones that tend to go more quickly, we're pretty we're quite current with vehicle and traffic law cases. So for example, if somebody gets a ticket in August, it's highly likely that they've already appeared in our court and the case has been disposed of. In past years, there was a big backlog in the calendar. After the merger, if you want to call it that, of town and village courts, that was cleaned up. And we've kept it current. The lag between, for the vast majority of cases, between the time that somebody receives a traffic summons and the time that they're in court and probably resolve the case with the town prosecutor is no more than 2 months, generally speaking, pretty fast. So we try to, I think one reason why the volume is heavy is because we want to stay up to date. We don't want cases to drag on.
And I was curious, another thing, if Metro North, if something happens on the train track, do you guys have to hear that, right? You have to hear the
Yes.
Metro North,
Yeah, we do have cases occasionally.
stuff like that.
Yeah. And occasionally cases from the prison, not often, but sometimes.
We get contraband cases from the prison. There was also, several years ago, a assault case for a guard. I had a trial, case of a dispute between guards, so we do get some, but as Judge Reisman says, that one. Metro North has ticked up some, and that's a combination of, I haven't seen a fishing case in a while, but there was a
Yeah, I
time
remember
period
that
where
last
people
year.
were fishing, and so they were getting trespasses, and so it's doing
Right.
something on the platform. We had a case, someone was defacing seats on the plane, on the train, on the automobile, trains, automobiles was. And because it would, happen in the track span of Ossining, we got that case, so, yeah.
That is good.
We also, I'm not gonna say this happens often, but it happens. We will get calls from other jurisdictions where judges aren't sitting to arraign people who were arrested in their towns. We actually had I think a North Salem or a South Salem arraignment, several months ago.
You had to go up there, or they can.
No, they come.
Okay, I was gonna say, mutually judge, you know.
So technically, we're supposed to be adjoining jurisdiction, so we can only do it if it's a town that abuts Ossining. And so I actually had a call recently from a town that did not abut Ossining. And it's the state police, so some of the up county jurisdictions have state police, and they will call us, say, we can't find a judge, can you do it for us? Because they're trying to just, have their regular patrol duties as opposed to, playing custodian for the person.
Right.
So unfortunately, I had to politely decline. But yeah, those are cases that we do. And I guess, the only thing I would like to say is that we have been looking at our budget pretty consistently and looking for ways to save and trim. And we can't really promise anything at this point because we're starting to look at a way to cut maybe between 25 and 30,000 for transcription services, thanks largely to Judge Paris is on the screen there, and she's, I'm sure, not going to take credit, but she has
That's in question,
gotten some
or a statement.
so we are looking to maybe save money that way, and we continue to do that. So it's something that we take seriously.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt. Everything that Judge Levitt and Judge Reisman, I echo. I think that, we're a really busy court. I think we're lucky to have good staff. I think we've got people who are dedicated to doing the work and doing it quickly and properly. And so, I'm appreciative for the efforts that the town makes to make sure that we're well-staffed. And
That's true.
it's a busy job, but it's it's an honor to serve our community. So
Agreed.
we're doing the best we can.
I think we
I do
also-
have to say goodbye for a moment because I have to pop off to trial. But I want to thank everyone so much. Ben, Mark, I appreciate it. And I'll circle back later if there's anything additional. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank
Take care, bye.
We also try to make ourselves available to lawyers in civil and criminal cases. If they want to conference the case off of the calendar so that we can take the time to try to help them resolve it. You know, to the extent that we're able to do that, we do, you know,
No extra charge.
One price.
because, you know,
Maybe we should charge them.
Sure.
yeah. so-
I will say, I've been hearing from some of the medical groups and support services in town that there is an uptick in alcohol and substance in the last, few months. So I don't know if you're gonna see an increase in that. But be aware, they're noticing a pretty big uptick and they're trying to address it on their end. But maybe it's the social workers that the police send out that will see the uptick, or maybe some of it will end up in your lap, I don't know, but.
We've been extraordinarily lucky to have a mental health crisis team assigned to the Austin Police Department. And so they've been very helpful in keeping or directing incidents that occur due to mental health issues
The proper.
away from the criminal justice system. So as you can imagine, alcohol and drugs have always been a large part of the criminal justice system. The illegality of drugs in itself, but just leading to behavior that is over the line, we'll put it that way. And there has been a significant uptick in mental health issues with defendants and incidents that seem to be the result of mental health conditions rather than criminal intent per se. Now, whether or not they can prove lack of intent because of their mental health condition is an issue that, gets litigated if it needs to get litigated. But it is a fact of court life these days that we see a much larger percentage of mentally ill people in court, and it can be disruptive to court proceedings and definitely takes time. Thankfully, there are starting to be resources to refer people to for diversion courts and things like that. But it's still woefully underfunded and enormous need. And it's nothing the town can address really, but it's just to sort of inform you, talking about that uptick. We've seen drug and alcohol courts, forever, and we have diversion courts for addiction and getting people into substance use. And I know all our judges are educated on those issues and do what we can with them to see that people are getting dispositions that will hopefully get them to a place where they're not reoffending. And a lot of times that is addressing drug or alcohol issues.
What kind of substances are you seeing? Anything
They
in
don't bring
particular?
actual substances. to
But is it like?
So the village ordinance.
Opioids are still, is that still prevalent? That
Absolutely.
Source, yeah.
Absolutely, yep. Yeah, so, the alcohol stuff, the village ordinances have the open containers. The criminal calendar is more, associated, disorderly conducts, assaults, those sorts of things, criminal mischiefs causing property, damage. But there are still a significant number of, possession of controlled substances, which are the opioids, cocaine, pills, those sorts of things. So, yeah, we see that. Absolutely.
Domestic violence also, and
Right.
we're, within the Office of Court Administration. We receive a lot of training on how to handle DV cases, and there's specialized DV courts. So, we receive instruction on how to deal with those.
As long as it's not reoffending, right?
I'm sorry.
In the domestic violence, not reoffenders usually.
Yes, sure.
It gets that far.
Yeah, yes.
So we do have a significant number of cases called criminal contempt in the second degree, which is a violation of protective order. So I would say that the reoffenders in the domestic violence realm are less people who are consistently brought back for abusive conduct, but there are people who come back for disobeying court orders. They're reaching out and having contact with the allegedly abused party, the complainant. But that's my experience, but across the board.
Good. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate the support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see everyone.
Here.
Thank you. Okay. So our next budget meeting is gonna be for the building department. So we have our building inspector, John Turnquist here.
Hi, John.
Hi, how are you?
Just share it on the screen. Okay. So we're gonna start with the building department's budget first, and then we'll do zoning and planning. So the first up, we have our salaries. So we have Sandy Anelli's salary, CSEA step 5, at $74,312. Next up, we have Margaret Collins, CSEA salary, step 5 salary at $60,362. 15% of Sandy's salary is sent to planning and 10% is sent to zoning, so that's the $11,147 and the $7,431. On this line, we also charge Sandy Anelli's stipend for being a code enforcer, and that's $15,000. And then 10% of Margaret Khan's salary is sent to zoning, so that's the minus $6,036. Next time we have our overtime set at 0. Longevity, we have it for Sandy and Margaret, it's a total of $1,950. A sick pay incentive of $2,000. A health stipend of $5,000. Margaret waives her family health insurance. Next up, we have a part-time salary set at $73,318. And that encompasses John Turnquist's 2% salary raise at 15 hours per week, which is at $62,844. There was a request during our round 1 budget meetings to increase from 15 hours to 17.5 hours, which brings the additional $10,474. And that's what brings up the big total.
So John, we split the baby, we split it in half. So we brought you the 17.
Okay, I get it. Okay, I'm fine with it. Yeah. Thank you.
Next up, we have our equipment line for general equipment at $2,000. Equipment vehicles at 0. Trees contractual at $2,000. Telephone at Turnquist cell phone at $40 a month, and then the Cablevision / light bill path at $1,200 total. Printing and postage at $550. Office and supplies expense at $1,000. Maintenance and repair of office equipment and leases at $12,200, and that encompasses the copier lease and municipal maintenance. Next up, we have constable / security services at $200. Professional dues and meetings at $800, and that includes some NICEBOG dues, International Code Council, and Westchester Fire Marshals. Conferences at $150. Unleaded fuel at $500. In-service training at $1,000, and that includes the Westchester Fire Marshals, NICEBOG classes, and any other additional training. Building inspector vehicle parts at $800. Nothing at 0 for books. Intermunicipal rent at $21,360. That includes a 3% raise for rent at the armory. And that increase doesn't happen until June 2020. Oh, sorry, I thought I read it wrong, sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Okay.
And next up, we have the revenues, for safety inspection fees at. I'm sorry, do we be recommended or the anticipated?
I just made it.
Thank you. At $120,000. Other public safety department, 0, and then we have zoning fees at $1,000. Planning board fees at $2,000 for revenue. Planning consultant fees at 0, and that brings us to the department total. Yes, so that's for building. Any questions or comments?
Questions? We're good?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's good.
okay. All right, now do your,
To zoning and planning, just give me 1 second, let me just get this on full screen.
Why do I have two here? Oh, that's what happened,
Yeah.
the other one.
There we go. I did print out two. I knew it. Just give me 1 second. Let me look at the book.
Who's missing?
So D'Angelo. Thanks.
Yeah, who's missing the building? There you go.
They are available on the Google Drive if you guys ever need the paper copies. Okay, so I have zoning and planning. This is where 10% of Sandy's salary is charged to and 10% of Margaret's salary is charged to. It brings us to $13,467. We have overtime set at $1,000. Publication of legal notices at $500. Printing and postage at $400. Conferences for the ZBA member training at $1,000. And stenographer/translator services at $500. Following page, we have 15% of Sandy's salary charged here at $11,147. Overtime at $4,000, nothing for part-time. Equipment at $150, contractual at nothing. Publication of legal notices at $600. Printing and postage, and this is at $2,385. This encompasses the postage lease that we pay for the machine up there. Office and supplies expense at $500. Professional dues and meetings at $500. And that includes the New York Planning Federation dues and Westchester Municipal Planning Federation dues and any additional training. Conferences at $1,000. And that's for planning board member training, consulting services for Nelson Pope and CRCR at $11,500 total. Nothing for the consulting services and stenographer/translator services for the planning budget at $500. That brings our total. And for the zoning and planning. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Good,
No, it appears to be good, as we had thought.
yeah, well, I like it when we iron it out in our first meetings and we're able to fit in everything that we discussed, so.
Yeah. Work, keep to work, yeah.
Okay. Board members good?
Yeah, good. I'm glad you and the supervisor were able to work everything out in the first round.
It's good.
So next department is going to be the town clerk, and we have our clerk Suzanne Donnelly here with us. Sharing screen. Okay. Give it 1 second. Okay, so we have our starting with the salaries. We have the deputy clerk Janet Minyansaka at CACI step 4 level. Her salary is set at $76,974. 70% of that is charged to the village and only 30% is actually charged to the town. Next, we have Suzanne Donnelly's salary as the clerk at 2% increase over 2025 at $106,728. And again, just like Janet's, 70% of it is charged to the village and 30% is charged to the town. Next, we have overtime set at $800. Nothing at longevity yet. Janet hasn't reached that yet. Sick pay incentive at $1,000.
Why? In case somebody gets it.
In case she qualifies for it for 2026, so she doesn't take any sick days.
Oh, it's in.
Yes, thank you.
Sales spot.
Yeah, that's the 6 days. Next up, we have the town clerk health stipend. That is being removed this year, because Janet is gonna go back on her health insurance starting January 1st. Next up, we have our part-time. So this, we're gonna have 2 part-timers, set at $18 an hour, and that total is $32,760. And again, 70% of that is charged to the village and 30% to the town. Next, we have our general equipment at $1,000. Contractual at $13,970. And that includes our FOIL tracker annual fee, our BAS annual support, general code supplementation costs, and seamless help. We have the publication of legal notices at $2,000. Printing and postage at $250. Office and supplies expense at $3,000. Maintenance and repair of office equipment and leases at $3,460, and that includes the copier lease at $205 a month. We have professional dues and meetings at $8,000, and that includes the New York State Town Clerks Association, as well as the IMC fee for the clerk and the deputy clerk. Conferences, we have for the AOT for Sue and Janet at $300 each, and any other conferences you wish to attend to, a total of $500. Nothing for consulting services, and then just any training, school, or education at $8,000. We have the town clerk for the elections. We have a clerk election stipend to $3,000. It's being lowered from last year's because there's only going to be 2 elections this year, just one in June and one in November. Election overtime for the deputy clerk at $1,200. Part-time for working for the elections at $500. Nothing for office and supplies and expenses. For the Westchester County election cost reimbursement, it's gonna be an anticipated 3% increase from 2025, which brings our total to $90,423.
Just wanna tell you again that our election payrolls are paid by the county. They're reimbursed.
We have nothing set for the storage, or the carding for the elections,
That's the old.
and nothing for training, school, or education.
Can that come off now, since we've been like
Yeah.
7 years with it? Okay. I know there's a certain number of years you have to go before. it's
Yeah,
all off.
you actually have to manually take it off each time you flip over the budget because
Oh.
you can't, I've tried. Yeah, you can't take it off, the ledger yet, so we do a purge and that's after 10 years,
Okay.
then we can.
We're halfway there, I think we're in year 5. Okay, the next page is just the totals. So the following page. We have for the finance department, this is just, this includes Laserfish, as well as any town email services, and that is a total of $6,500. $13,194. Thank you. Excuse me, it's a two bottom.
Could be cost.
Oh my God.
It is. And put-
First board.
Yeah.
First board. Yeah.
Next up, we have record retention. The total is $10,697, and that's just for the 200 fund. Think just the continuation. Then we have for the control with animals, so this includes our SPCA contract for the dogs at $970.98 a month. And then this is for the cats TNT program at $70 per cat. And it's just being lowered because we haven't received as many cats as we had. It's just been lowered a little.
Now there'll be an influx.
I know. Now that grand total is $12,657. Next up, we have 310 for the highway fund for general code, Laserfish, and town email services at $10,697 a year. Next up, then we have 320, which is again Laserfish and town email, but this is for the cemetery fund at $8,645. Following page, we have our revenue. So we have for the clerk fees anticipated $7,500. Public health fees at $15,000. Clerk IMA services with the village at $220,756. Elections for the IMA to be sent back from the county at $7,300. Down below for dog redemption fees at $0 because we don't know how many dogs.
Well, and then that's being bumping.
Then we have our dog licensing fee at $5,000. Next page, false alarm fines at $500 and our alarm registration at $9,000. And that is the end. Any questions or comments?
No, we'll be discussing the fee schedule at a town board meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Unless you want to.
So just
No,
remind me,
it's-
Laserfish, does it eventually get paid off?
No, it's a licensing fee.
For license
It's
every-
right across the town and village.
I was gonna say, there's no option to pay one time and throw it away.
Cause we wanna keep getting the, you know, the updates. Yeah, I mean, they don't have to be there, so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Good work.
told them I'd be right back.
Mark, Greg, you didn't let them know.
That's quick.
All right.
That's because we did a good job first round.
Well, the thing is that I'm extremely conservative in budgeting and then they can do more stuff with us.
Keep it up.
We appreciate that. Right.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank
All right, have a good day.
Okay. Continuing on with our tax receiver budget.
And we have Holly here, our tax receiver. Let me just share my screen and just get stuck on. Okay. So for our tax receiver, we're starting off with our salaries. So we have Harley Perlowitz's salary, a 2% increase from 2025 at $101,316. And then we have Patty's salary, a step 5 increase at 2%, at $67,464. The only discussion here is Patty is set to retire midway through the year. And we're looking at moving up somebody into that full-time position. But we're gonna keep the salary as is until we figure out more clearly what's the path going forward. Next we have our overtime at $0. Our longevity for Patty is $775. Our sick pay incentive at $500. Our health stipend, for Patty, we have it at $5,000. Our part-time are for $20.40, at $18,564. Our equipment, so they're actually gonna be, the PC and monitor that's being used in the remote office in the first floor is gonna need to be updated. So that's gonna be $1,500, and then any other general equipment at $2,000, it brings our total to $3,500. Our contractual for municipal payments at Flash Express Pay at $750. Our printing and postage at $16,200, and that encompasses our fulfillment center and our postage. Office and supplies expense at $1,500. Maintenance and repair of office equipment and leases at $4,770, and that includes the amounts for the currency counting / counterfeit machine, our CAR / LIR licenses, our copier lease, and our Cummins annual maintenance for the first and third floor for the machine. Next, we have professional dues and meetings at $500. Conferences at $1,700, and this includes our AOT meeting, a NYSARDEC meeting, a mileage, and any other conferences. Next, we have mileage, consulting services, training, school and education, and books at $0. On to the next page. 5. We have our revenue. And that's gain on sale property, we don't have anything there. Interest and penalties on taxes at $500,000. Our charges for tax advertisement and other expenditures rate at $8,000. Our memo for bill admin charges at $9,000. And that is it for the tax receiver. Any questions or comments?
Good job, Holly. Thank Holly and Patty for running a tight department, and Erin for being there for our taxpayers and for keeping a tight ship and a good budget. We appreciate it.
We did include the increase to the title search and foreclosure that I guess has to get approved.
Yes, as the fee schedule, yes, so the fee schedule meeting, as we were talking before, we're gonna be doing it at a later work session.
Okay.
Hopefully in December, so we can discuss, because there's a bunch of fees that are coming down the pipeline that need to be updated.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for being available.
Pleasure.
You make paying taxes fun.
Yeah, well, I pay them myself. That always helps to be able to say that to people. Because it's true.
I'm in your boat. I'm in the boat with you.
All right. Take
Have a
care.
good
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
No problem.